3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the undefeated, unscripted, unfiltered, Defining Moments podcast with my man, Chris Fields. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
You bet.
Twitter, about a year and a half ago, was how we connected, and it's through a stinking hat.
Yeah. I think it was a friend of mine, Mazza, Ant, Anthony, who he posted one of his hats or something that he got from you.
Yeah.
And so I, did the old follow the thread and click here, click there, and saw your Twitter account and been following it ever since.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, and we appreciate things you've done for the community, things you're still currently doing. 31 years, Oklahoma City Fire Department, retired as major in 2017-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, March 1st, 2017.
March 1st. Yep. Man, how's it feel to be retired?
It's good.
Yeah?
It's different. You got to, it takes a while to get used to not being part of something that you were, part of for 31 years.
Yeah.
There's always that fraternity, that brotherhood, that sisterhood of the job. But when you're not doing it for a living anymore, it's a little different.
Yeah. So what do you do on your downtime now?
I work with a couple other guys. We try to travel around the country and tell our stories, and kind of more like preventive maintenance is what we try to do.
Okay.
Try to tell all these first responders, don't wait until the wheels fall off before they, reach out and get any help. And we offer help in setting up peer support groups around the country.
Yeah. I feel like in 2021, it's always important, but it just feels like it's so much more important now because social media is growing. It's gone so fast. So, the technical side of it is just exploding. And so how do you deal with negativity?
I tell you what, sometimes I don't deal with it very good. But are you talking about just like reading negative stuff and seeing negative?
Let's just do that.
Man, it's hard sometimes because I'm pretty opinionated.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me to. A lot of times I do the old where they say type it up and then delete it.
Oh yeah,
feel just as good.
Yeah.
Well, I've typed up 1 million responses and replies to negative people, and thought, I better not, because then I'll have to answer the 150 replies I'll get or whatever. So I just, it's tough, man. I'm not a very negative person.
Right.
So now I have my days where I'm cranky and negative, but my personality is not negative. So and I don't like being around people that always look for the bad and everything. You know. There's always two sides to everything, so I always choose to find the good side of it.
Right on.
And then if things get too bad, I'll just load up my truck and drive 2 hours east and go to the lake. So.
Or Grand Lake?
10 killer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you love fishing or boating or what?
Nah, if my brother-in-law comes along, I'll fish because he loves it. But I don't wake up waiting to fish. I like just hanging out on the boat.
Right on.
Getting out on the water.
That's great. Before we take a deeper dive into your life, we got a few gifts here for you.
Excellent.
One of them is for your wife.
Well, yeah, we might get that one to her.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's what we need, man. I wear. I get quite a few shirts and hats and stuff.
There you go.
I wear them all. I find a place and a time to wear them. Oh yeah, undefeated, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. We appreciate you. So how's the family?
Good. Got me and the wife been married. June was 34 years.
Right.
I got 2 sons. One's 28, married, lives in Broken Arrow. My daughter-in-law Drew, and my youngest one is 22, and he's in his last semester down at OU.
Yeah, I saw a post, and he had a Landmark Fine Homes hat on. Yeah. Do you guys know someone in Landmark?
Mr. Landmark.
Do you?
Dan Reeves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his oldest son, Matt, and my youngest son are the same age.
Oh, okay.
And they lived together the last 3 years.
Okay.
And then Matt proposed to his girlfriend, got engaged, and they wanted to get their own house, and it was Matt's house. So he told his 3 boys to beat it. So but he's back down there. He's got an apartment with another good friend and all that. So, yeah. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. The reason why I asked is because I noticed a hat, and my wife and I are getting a house built in Norman, and it's a Landmark.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Landmark Fine Homes. Yeah.
Landmark Fine Homes.
Yep. They do good. They do good stuff.
Yeah. So I saw the hat. I was like, man, I need to score one of those hats.
trying to think if I got one in my truck. I don't. I've got several at the house.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll get you one.
That's a good looking hat. It's a good looking hat. So this is defining moments. This is your moment. So kind of take us through your life and what I remember talking to Anthony about. He told me, you got to get him on. You got to get him on. And he took me all the way back to 1995. Mm-hmm. It was April 19th, 1995. Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind walking us through the call, your emotions, what was going on that day?
April 19th, 1995, people can always remember it's a Wednesday. And the only reason I remember it's a Wednesday is because the fire station I was at, every fire station has duties you do different days of the week if you're on duty that day. And Wednesdays at that station was yard day. So I just remember guys out mowing and weed eating. And fortunately, I was one of the officers, so I wasn't having to mow or weed eat. But they were mowing and weed eating, and we were getting ready to start planning breakfast. The fire station, usually you eat 2 meals, breakfast and dinner, 10 and 5. That's just, and then snack the other rest of the 24 hours. But we were talking about getting breakfast ready that morning. And the station I was at was Station 5, Northwest 22nd and Broadway, mm-hmm. right by Byron's Liquor.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's just like 15 blocks north of the Murrah building. And we felt it, we heard it. I mean, the station shook and the windows rattled. And we had thought originally maybe a train had derailed or something, because there used to be an active board and ice cream plant right mm-hmm. there. I don't even know what it is now. But so we went out the east doors to look and didn't see anything. Looked back to the south towards downtown and saw the large plume of smoke. And we all 3 rigs, we self-dispatched ourselves, meaning we didn't wait for the tone to come in. We just left. And there was we had an engine company at our house, a rescue ladder, and the hazardous materials unit. And I was the officer on the hazardous materials unit that day. And it was just one of them deals where we're the whole way down there, we're just kind of, you can see the smoke, and by then they've dispatched companies, on the way, and a radio chatter. Nobody really knows. I'll jump ahead and say, the last thing we were thinking was a bomb. Mm. We were doing natural gas explosion. We were doing, they were doing some work, I think, on the water resource building. We were thinking about a welder's, acetylene torch, something. We had just going over all these things, and noticed about after we hairpin turned off of 22nd back onto Broadway, once we got to about 13th or 14th, we started seeing some of those storefronts right there with the windows blown out, glass blown out, people coming out. Nobody, injured or anything, but just had that dazed look, kind of like we did probably. What the heck just happened? Got down to Northwest 5th Street. By this time, radio chatter was picking up, and there were some rigs already on the scene. And they were talking about there was a little confusion at first, because there's the federal building, which is the federal courthouse, mm-hmm. and then there's the Alfred P. Murrah building, which houses federal offices. So there was kind of confusion. Was it the federal building or was it the federal offices or whatever? So we got down there and turned on to 5th Street, and the first thing we did was my crew and another another company. There was and we were hearing daycare chatter. And I'll be honest and say, we didn't know there was I say we, my company, my station. It wasn't our first in, so we weren't real familiar with it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know there was a daycare in the Murrah building itself. When they talked about the daycare, the YMCA was catty corner from the Murrah building, the YMCA, and it had a daycare in it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we started. We set up a triage there because there were some kids there and workers there injured just from flying glass and, nothing life-threatening. And so we set up a triage and probably worked there for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes before we got the call from the fire chief, instant commander, to come down to the building. I say come down to the building, just right across the street, but he had an assignment for us. So first thing we did was we helped Oklahoma City police officers get a lady out of the basement. She was just kind of hung up in nothing structural like debris, but she was kind of hung up in like wire from the suspended ceiling and stuff. And the sprinkler line was flowing, so there was some water in there. So we helped get her out, and and I'll back up real quick, and I say when we first saw we really didn't get a good view of the building until we walked. Even when we were at the YMCA, we really didn't even pay attention. We were kind of focused there. But once we got to the building and saw the a third of the building blown away, 9 stories pancaked on top of each other, and the crater out front, I think everybody on the scene, to a man and woman, would say, if you'd have told me right then and said, there's only going to, and I say only, it doesn't discount anybody's death, but when I say, if they would have said there's only going to be 168 fatalities, I would have told you there are no way. I mean, because we're looking at a building that's gone and pancaked, and you're talking about 9 o'clock in the morning when everybody's at work. So, like I said, if you'd have looked at it and said, so in a weird kind of way, I mean, it's a blessing that it was 168 was a number, a low number for what we had envisioned looking at it. So we helped get that lady out of the basement, and then they told us to go to the south side, go down in an area they were calling the pit. It was kind of on the mezzanine, but then there was no way to get to it, so we had ground ladders. You had to go down ladders to get to it. Yeah. And it was just floors pancaked down on top of each other. And so as we were going, that's when a gentleman out of nowhere, I don't know if he came around the corner, out of a door or whatever, but this gentleman came out and said he had a critical infant. And, my mom always says, well, there was a reason it was you. Because I said, I don't know why. I just said, here, I'll take her. Yeah. And I didn't even know he was a police officer at the time. I didn't realize until a couple of days later that he was a police officer. But they said they had a critical infant. So I took Bailey, and first thing I did was search her for any signs of life. I had to clear some concrete dust out of her throat. She had a slight open skull fracture, and but I couldn't find any signs of life. So about that time, I noticed, and people, I always get, I think it was IMSA in 1995. I don't think it was still AmCare. I think it was already IMSA. Anyway, there was an ambulance across the street. Yeah. So I walked over there with her, and same thing. I just said, I have a critical infant. And the ambulance was full. There was somebody on the floor, on the cot, and up on the bench seat. There were several people laying around on the ground on stretchers or backboards. And I just said, I have a critical infant. And the paramedic looked at me and he said, well, hold on a second. We're not going to put that baby on the ground, because there was nowhere to put her. And he went to get a blanket out of the ambulance, put on the ground. And so he, once he did that, I handed Bailey to him and went back and caught up with my crew for the rest of the day. We had one live rescue. I think we were there at about 11 or 11:30 that night. We had one other live rescue that day. Right after that, when I caught up with my crew, I could hear them hollering, and what they were doing was I guess they'd heard somebody hollering for help. And she said, I can feel y'all on top of me. So she could feel the pressure where they were walking. So they were kind of sounding out to try to find out where she was feeling the pressure, so they could see how she was laying, which direction her head was. So we'd know to be careful when we were moving debris around her head area. And so that's what they did. They sounded out. She said, I can feel you on my back. Now I can feel you on my legs. So we knew how she was laying. Yeah. And they started to remove the debris. And I was talking to her and getting her name. And I always remember she was Sheila Driver. She was 28 years old, and she was pregnant. And her name will always stick with me. And so we got her out, got her packaged up and put her on a backboard, and they had to set up a pulley system up top. We strapped her on there, and they got her out and got her to the hospital. It wasn't until the next day we learned that her and her unborn child passed away on the way to the hospital. But that was the last, that was probably an hour into the incident. So maybe 10:30, 11, before the bomb scare where we had to evacuate. Yeah. But that was the last, live person that we had any contact with the rest of the day. Wow. And I know there were some other rescues going on around the building, but as far as where my crew and where we were, the rest of the day was pretty much recovery for us. And we were there till, like I say, 11 or 11:30 at night before we got sent back to the fire station. So it was a full full day, and that was the first chance we ever, we got to call to, contact our own families, let them know we were okay and everything was good and all that. And that's the time. That's when I found out there was a photo taken. Yeah. Was when we got back to the station.
Yeah. When you think back through those moments, what do you feel like you've learned from those moments, from that call to getting in there and to now?
Probably, and a lot of the stuff you learn, it sounds cliche, but you don't think it's cliche until you learn it. And then you're, but like I say, man, it's so fragile. Life's so fragile. Those people were getting up and going to work, just like every other day. Mm-hmm. And some of the stories you hear of people that weren't supposed to be down there that were, and vice versa, that, weren't supposed to be down there and were and weren't. And so it was just kind of, and another thing I've noticed, I learned a lot more like in the days after the resiliency of mankind, the humans. There's a guy, I don't have it on, there's a guy that has a deal called 9/12 United, and his message and his mission is to make the world be like it was on 9/12 after 9/11. How everybody came together, and same thing for us, but I don't know if we can say 420 since that's, so I don't want to be 420 United because everybody knows what 420 is. So, but even that day and the weeks and the months following, man, it was amazing to see. The media would have to tell people to stop bringing supplies down there because they didn't have anywhere else to put them. Mm-hmm. I think the police reported like their lowest crime rate in the last 10 years in that 48 hours after the bombing. Wow. I mean, it was just an amazing thing. And I say a lot of it I didn't really learn that day, or but some of the stories that have come out afterwards that I've, not everybody knows, but I've been privy and got to know, were just amazing. Like the guy that worked there that was blind, and he ended up leading like 6 or 7 people down the staircase because he just said, "Hang on to me," because he walked it every day blind. Yeah. So he knew exactly where he was in the structure, where he was in his part of the building that wasn't damaged. He couldn't see because of the concrete dust and some of the smoke from the car fires. He knew exactly where he was going because he walks it every day blind. So he was able to get 6 women out. Wow. Yeah. Dana Bradley, who had her, had to have her leg. She's the one who had to have her leg amputated to get her out. And she's preparing now to walk the half marathon next year or something. Wow. With her prosthetic leg. Yeah. And it's just Amy Downs. She'd be a great one to have on here. I don't know if you know who she is. She was I'll tell part of her story and you can have her on her and she can tell the rest. She was she worked at the Federal Employees Credit Union. And I think she was just like a part-time teller or greeter or whatever. She was this is her story. She was in a horrible relationship, 300-something pounds, really big. She was trapped. One of our guys was talking to her and they evacuated the building, made him leave. So she said when she was in those moments, not knowing if we were going to come back for her, she said she just talked to God and said, "You know what? Give me a chance. I'll live my life like you want me to. I won't, I'll take care of myself. I'll do something about this relationship." So they come back, they get her out. She's remarried now to a great guy. She lost a ton of weight, and she's actually competed in triathlons. Wow. She rides her bike 50 miles a day about. And she is now the president of that same credit union that was on top of her. Unbelievable. That's what I'm saying. That's crazy, man. And there's just so many stories. And I really didn't start recognizing those and appreciate them until another friend of mine said he always looks to other people's stories for inspiration. Sure. And so that's kind of what I do. I look at those, every day I get up and I'm like, kind of bad day. I think of what they've been through. Yeah. Man, what I've been through doesn't even compare. Yeah. So, that's what I've just learned that, you think you got it bad, somebody's always got a little worse. So I always use their stories of inspiration, man, to get me through the day if I'm having a bad day. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have to amputate someone's leg on the scene, do you know what happens? I mean,
well,
do you knock them out or what?
No, that was that's another and you got to have that doctor on. The doctor from, I don't know if he's from St. Anthony's, where he's from, but they actually got doctors down there, and I give it up to those doctors. I mean, there's some of us weren't real keen on tunneling down in there, and where you can't hardly move and all that. But these doctors did it, and no, they gave her like a local. That's all they could give her. Because of I'm not medically inclined enough to know all the details.
Sure.
But like I said, so all they were able to do was give her a local. And the story goes, and he's written about it somewhere, that when he cut through everything, got down, he had an old pocket knife in his pocket that he had to pull out to cut the last tendon to get her leg free. So that was the only way she was coming out. And like I said, and she's and that's the thing. There's people still, and I know people are still suffering from their losses that day. Family members that died, but the people that were injured, both mentally and physically, man, are still dealing with it 26 years later. Are still having effects. Dana's had several surgeries and stuff on her leg, and now I think she's got it to where she can put her prosthetic on, and she's going to be able to, like I say, walk in the half marathon next year at the bombing memorial run. And so, like I say, I just, that's one thing I take away from it. I just look for all these, and some of the people that have gone on and done things that lost family members, have set up foundations that do nothing but help people, and, got certain laws passed. I mean, it's just pretty inspirational to see all the stuff that has come out of that tragedy.
Yeah.
And how Oklahoma City came together in the state, and how we grew as a city and a state since then.
Yeah, for sure. How have you been able to handle it yourself mentally throughout, not just that, but going forward?
Well, I thought I was doing good. Now, I've always, it's just, in 1990, and I'll let me talk about, some of the, because I ended up being diagnosed, PTSD, anxiety, depression. 1995, PTSD was the only time it wasn't in a first responder world. Unfortunately, back then, it was only a news story about a homeless Vietnam vet.
Right.
That's when you'd hear about PTSD. That's the only time. It really wasn't a first responder thing, especially in the fire service. That's just the way we were brought up. I was hired in 1985, so I grew up in the 60s and 70s, playing little league sports and high school sports. That was the, suck it up, dude. It didn't matter. Right. If it was your work, sports, you get hurt, you better suck it up and get back out there, or Jimmy Joe here is going to take your spot, or whatever. So that's just what we were taught. And even in the fire service, when you get on, and it's not that generation that raised me on the fire department, it's not their fault. That's how they were raised. It's just a generational thing. And we lost 3 firefighters in '89, and we laugh and we hug and we cry about it and we tell stories, but we kind of deal with it. We don't really process it. So when you do that for a career, just learning to just kind of push it to the back. And like everybody says, there's so many different scenarios you can use. Your file cabinet got too full, or you kept throwing stuff over here in this closet until you opened it and it all came down on top of you. And that's kind of what happened to me after that 10 years. Everybody thinks and the bombing and the photo and the things I dealt with after that were very traumatic for me. But it was more of that was kind of the breaking point. It was something that, and I'll have to go forward and then come back to it, to kind of how it kind of, but in the days after the photo, once I found out there was one, I was a lot of irrational guilt, I was feeling guilty about, because Erin, which is Bailey's mom, Erin wasn't allowed to, grieve privately. And I felt responsible. I was the last one to, hold her child. She didn't get to. I did. And then there was that being singled out in the fire service, which, it's such a team thing. But as far as that goes, as far as the fire service, man, I had nothing but the greatest support from the guys and girls on the fire department. That was what really kind of kept me going, was the support I got from them and the fire chief administration and Chief John Hanson. May he rest in peace. He's a great guy. But so dealing with all that, and then it became kind of weird because you were getting these onslaughts for interviews, and then I thought, well, I'm only going to do them if Aaron was going to do them, but then you get, and it's so unintentional on the fire chief's part, but he would like call and say, hey, so-and-so wants to do an interview, ask you a few questions. If you want to do it, it's fine. You have our permission. If not, just tell me no, and I'll call him and I'll be the bad guy. So in my mind, I'm going, I don't want to be the bad, that's just the way your mind, man. It's so powerful. It was just, and so I was like, no, I'll do it, so it was just I was just grinding, wearing myself out, and, noticing I was starting to have a few, it started from day one, the morning after the bombing. By the time I got home, I already had reporters in my front yard.
Wow.
I don't know how they do it, but they do it. They already knew where I lived, everything. Yeah. And so it started that next morning. And so I'm having some struggles. I'm having little, mini bouts of depression, and and I'm just kind of like, well, I just want to be alone, be isolated. Of course, I'm thinking, I'm in my 40s, 35, 40. It's my midlife deal. It'll all be okay. My wife noticed it a little bit, but when I go to the fire station, I couldn't show that side. I had to be happy-go-lucky. I like being the center of attention, being the funny guy, so I had to keep up that that personality. And during that time, we had several other events. We lost a firefighter in his day off in a car wreck. Him and his 12-year-old son were killed, and I was actually doing some little PIO work for the fire department, so I had to do PIO for that. Did a couple of interviews, talking about my good friend Mike Tiderman when he died, and another guy we worked with real close named Chris Dill. He collapsed at a fire scene and died. And so those are all like what I call major impactful things. So if you take that along with all the other stuff you do in a career on the fire service, you take on everybody else's. They don't call unless they're having a bad day. And you don't intentionally, but you just take on everybody else's trauma. You take on, and I tell people, some of the most, when I say traumatic, I don't necessarily mean bloody or gory or made the headlines, but, you make a call on early in the morning, a 92-year-old man that passed away in his sleep. And you can look at all of his, war medals, and he was a great guy, or he may have been a famous coach locally that everybody knew. And well, then his wife of 65 years is crying on your shoulder saying, I woke up with this man every day for the last 60 years. What do I do? And you're going, to me, that's just as trauma-filled and traumatic, and what's traumatic for me is not traumatic for somebody else. It's just all different. So all that stuff in a career starts taking its toll on you. And then people forget we have home lives too, So you're trying to separate the two and manage both. And like I say, that's not a woe is me. We know what we're getting into when we sign up for the job. Yeah. But I just think there needs to be more attention spent early in your career on learning how to manage all that.
Sure.
Which it's getting better. They are doing that. Mm-hmm. So to where when the bombing played its role, I thought I was doing better. I had kind of gotten over the many bouts of depression and isolation. And so it's like 6 years after the bombing, we're putting a pool in our backyard. And I'm helping the guys bust out the patio, and it starts to rain. And a lot of people don't know it rained the night of the Oklahoma City bombing. Well, it was raining when I was busting out this concrete. I caught a smell of wet concrete dust, and it took me back to April 19th, 1995. And I didn't drop to my knees or freak out, but in my mind, I was just going, oh, man, that smells just like being inside the building that day. And I can pinpoint that day as the day that when my bouts of depression and my isolation and all my even quicker temper than I naturally had, was really ramping up. And it was, you got to, I noticed it was more frequent, and then, just me and the wife fighting over, stupid stuff. It got to where it's affecting the home life, but then again, I was fine when I went to the fire station.
Yeah.
So, it just led to a lot of bad events between me and my wife. It led to, I I chose. There was an extramarital affair. There was all sorts of stuff going on. I was not being the father I was supposed to be, the husband or the friend to, that I was supposed to be. And my wife pretty much gave me the ultimatum, get help or get out. Mm-hmm. Well, don't tell me what to do. I was kind of in that state of mind, like, I'm fine. This is how I am. So I got out, and we were separated 16 months. And I did such a good job of hiding it that most people at the fire station in the fire service didn't know we were even separated. I mean, because I'd go to the station, I was the same Chris Fields. And when I look back and learn, I always try to tell the younger guys, I was more worried about my legacy with the fire department than I was with my own family and friends. And so this went on for about, 16 months of, in and out. Me and my wife have a few good days, and then it's just a all out screaming match. But she stuck it out. She never completely wrote me off, because she'd always say, I just knew that wasn't, we talk about it now, she'll say, I just knew that wasn't you, So after 16 months of separation and me being a total ass to everybody that I knew, and it was funny, everybody that was reaching out to help me, those were the people I was pushing away and telling, leave me alone. But the ones that were telling me I was doing okay, do what you want to do, they were pulling me into their little world, because I was pulling them into my world, and we all wanted to be together and wallow in our misery together, So we were all supporting each other's horrible life decisions, And it came a night, and I was using, Xanax to get through some days and get some sleep and help with the anxiety and all that. And then one night I tried to mix enough Crown Royal and Xanax together that if I was either going to be really good to go the next day, or there wasn't going to be a next day. And I had just, thought if that happens, if I don't wake up, everybody can reset and start over. And then again, I was so worried about what people thought about me that I thought, well, people look at it, look like an accident, because I was still worried about what people, that's how big an ass I had become, that's what I was worried about. And, I woke up the next morning, and so I thought, okay, there's got to be more to my life than this. God's got to have a purpose for me to go through all this, to be 40-something-year-old man living in a 700 square foot apartment by himself, not being, and I knew I had a bigger purpose, but, and I've been blessed since then to be able to go out and speak and do things. But in my mind then, I wasn't thinking that as any kind of purpose. I thought my purpose was to be a good father, a good husband, and a good friend. That's what I said. That's my purpose. That's what I need to be. And I called my wife until I was ready to come home, and she said, come on. And that was, I knew right then that I'm pretty sure everything was going to be good. Because I figured, what, if God was able to give her enough grace to forgive me, I thought, okay, we're going to be pretty good. And I still struggle with forgiving myself. Even that was in 2008 and 9. So we're still, we're 12, 13 years down the road, and I still have days where, I struggle with it and think about the things I did and all that. And, and I always thought about the name of your podcast, Defining Moments. And I can't remember where I read it. You have a little, maybe the little saying underneath your Twitter headline or something about either the moment defines you or you define the moment, and that was what I always think about, that photo and the bombing was probably a defining moment in my life, but I can't let it, define me. And for a long time I did. And I struggled with it. I didn't want to see it. But now, I'm able to use it with Aaron, with Bailey's mom's blessing, to go out and speak to other first responders, about the warning signs and about not waiting until the wheels fall off and all that. So that's where I'm at right now, 26 years after the bombing. And, and I still have days. I still have some bad days where I'll get up and just like, I'm not with it today. But instead of turn to any bad behaviors or medication or anything like that, I just let it happen. If I got to go sit in my office at the house and shut the door and cry for an hour or two just to get it out, that's what I do. Or, if I just need to turn everything off in the house and just, lay in the quiet, that's what I do. Sometimes if I go down to the lake before my wife, if she comes down later, I'll drive that 2.5 hours with nothing on, no radio, no nothing, but that's what I've just learned to do. I've learned how to modify those behaviors and deal with it like that, and just accept that there's going to be bad days for everybody. Yeah. So
that's great. I'm taking it all in, and there's a few points, especially one when you're talking about where you're driving for 2 hours. There's nothing on. It's just you, the road, the steering wheel. It's just quiet. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I feel like that when I'm driving the Jeep. Mm-hmm. No music, doors are off. It's just you in the road and the air. Mm-hmm. And maybe the world does need to slow down. We can make the world slow down a little bit.
If we can. And it's, we social media, golly, I mean, you always want to know what's going on social media, you can't turn the radio on without, if I'm not driving in silence, I have my own little playlist I like to listen to. I don't listen to, just random radio, very seldom. Right. But, and I have a lot of people say, well, if it's just, what do you think about it? Because my wife will say, how do you do that? What do you think about it? And I said, that's the thing. I'm not thinking. And every now and then a random thought might run through my head. By that, I'm just looking at the road in front of me and just driving. There's really not any kind of thoughts. And it is, I can get down there after a 2-hour drive and just like that felt good.
Yeah.
So it's therapeutic for me, and doing stuff like this, telling my story and going to speak, that's very, it's very cathartic and therapeutic for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You were talking about warning signs. What are maybe some warning signs that you could explain to our listeners about it?
What I tell first responders, and I tell anybody, you know yourself, and so it's really not warning signs. It's just, I'm always you can ask my wife, she just tell me to shut up. I'm usually the outgoing and one line, crack guy and all that. And I noticed the change in me. I noticed that personality was not prevalent all the time. And I noticed that I was sad, I'll say depressed, sad more often than I should have, for no reason. Or just the opposite, I'd be real anxious for no reason. Just little things that aren't you. And it's important for people that are close to you, if they notice that, to say something. Everybody's always worried about stepping on, somebody's toes. Well, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to. Well, it's better to bug them than tell you I'm good than, you find out days later that they needed you. Yeah. So like I say, it's just, for me, it was those warning signs that I knew, but I just chose to ignore them because I'm bigger and tougher and badder than that, Yeah. So, and that's just the mentality that we have. And so that's what it was for me. Just noticing anything that's just not normal for you, something you used to love to enjoy. Now you don't enjoy doing it, or you don't do it as often because it seems like it's more of a inconvenience to do it.
Sure.
Well, that right there is a pretty good, sign. So just little things like that. And I always tell the first responders, especially, we've got to take care of each other. We've got to look out for each other. When, you got your fire chiefs and they're great, and your cities you work for, they love you when you're on camera and when you're doing positive things. And it's no fault of theirs, but, like I tell people, Chris Fields did 31 years, 7 months, and 16 days, retired on March 1st, 2017. On March 2nd of 2017, they promoted somebody, put them in my seat, and the fire department never missed a beat. So that's what I'm saying. We've got to look out for each other.
Yeah.
And, when I came back from, during all that, in the span I didn't talk about, I went away for treatment to a place in California for PTSD and anxiety and depression. That's where I was diagnosed and went through some different types of therapy to help cope with it. And so when I got back and went to the fire station, I was very open about where I'd been, why I was there, the things I'd done. And it seemed like that helped let the guys and girls at the station know, hey, it's okay to talk about it.
Sure.
And I wasn't shy about asking people anymore if they were okay. If I noticed something different in them, had a young firefighter who used to get there every morning at 5:30. Shift changed at 7. If I was later than 6, I was late. I mean, that's just how I did my career. Mm-hmm. So, but when I'd get there, he was already there. You know, he'd been there since 5:30. All of a sudden, I got to noticing he wasn't getting there till 6:15, 6:30. Then he wasn't sitting around after dinner and smoking and joking, and he was more off to himself. So I just asked him one day, you know, if he was okay. And man, we ended up talking for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Wow. And a lot of it wasn't fire department related. He was just having some problems at home, some financial issues and stuff like that. But I told him, I said, well, I told you when you get a new firefighter station, you bring them in and you give them your little, what's expected, you know, your little spiel. And I said, I told you, you know, this is your family. So if you got, you know, and he said, well, yeah, but that's kind of like coach speak or station officer speak. It's like stuff you have to say. But when you ask me, he goes, I felt like that was my opportunity to tell you since you asked. So that's kind of, from then on, I was probably wearing people out. You okay? You okay? You know, but so that's what I say. We just have to take care of each other, and it's just those little warning signs that, you know, and it's everybody. It's not, and everybody thinks trauma is just for people that, you know, and our trauma is in everyday life, man. Yeah. You lose a loved one that's traumatic. You know, people that are in car wrecks and live to tell that's traumatic. You know, they're usually not. They're fine during the car wreck because they're all, you know. But then after everything's just, and we have to learn to appreciate everybody's feelings and what's traumatic to me may not be traumatic to you, and vice versa. And so it's just, I know it's a reach, but it's just what we got to get to in that world. We can just get back to, you know, kind of respecting everybody's the way they feel, and you know.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Speaking of asking questions as how are you doing, what are maybe 2 or 3 questions you wish people would ask you, but no one ever asks?
Probably that, how you doing? Yeah. I can look back and say that, but I think I was in such a state of mind back then. I don't think there's anything they would ask me. Seriously. Yeah. Because it was such a stigma back then to reach out for any help. So if I look back to 1995 or 96, 97, a few years after, and said, if there's something somebody could have said or done, I really don't know if there is or there was, because I was in that state of mind. It was still such a stigma, and it still is, but we're making headway on, and a lot of it comes from people telling their stories, you know. And I always tell people things like your podcast and all that. It doesn't have to be a first responder. You know, there's another guy that has a podcast, Behind the Shield. His name's James Gearing. It's not just first responders he has on there. He has people from every walk of life, because everybody's got a story. Everybody. Yeah. And I tell people, you know, there's guys on the peer support team now for Oklahoma City. And I tell them, I said, if you've got a story to tell it and share it, and let everybody know that you've been where they are, or you've been where they might end up. Yeah. And because you look at somebody on a peer support team, or somebody might look at me and go, oh, I don't want to go to him. He's got everything together. You know, I'm going, that's why I tell my story. Let everybody know I've been there, done that. And you don't have to wait until the wheels fall off like I did. I almost lost my career and my family and my life. And it doesn't mean you're going to be diagnosed with anything. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to even go see a clinician. Just find somebody to talk to may be all you need. Yeah. So that's just kind of, that's where everything's at for me right now. Yeah.
So you've been with the Oklahoma City Fire Department for quite a while. How do you, in your own thoughts, how do you start a culture? How do you cultivate a culture?
You mean as far as like speaking out, reaching out for help? Well, I'll say this, and Oklahoma City's been blessed. The fire department, we've had, I mean, there's always personality conflicts, you know, between fire chiefs, but in the most part, we've always had fire chiefs that are pretty sincere about looking out for the well-being of their workers. And Chief Kelly now is really involved with the peer support team and giving them whatever he can to help. And I think that's where it has to start, is at the top. One of the guys I travel with, he had a guy speak. We were speaking at a deal, and they were doing question and answers, and they asked him basically the same question. And he said, "Well, it starts at top with administration. They have to let the employees know it's okay to reach out. You're not going to be punished. You're not going to be, And the guy out in the crowd said, no, it starts at the bottom. The employees have to. And he said, no, that's a coup. If it starts at the bottom, that's a coup. Somebody trying to take over,
Yeah.
He said, so it doesn't. It has to start at the top. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the top has to, start the process, but the top has to let everybody know that it's okay. Mm-hmm. That and as employee, that's what I try to do. Any emotion we have after calls or anybody has, and those are perfectly normal. Mm-hmm. But we're taught that you got to be this tough and this, you got to be there for everybody else. Well, I've certainly learned that I can't be there for everybody else if I'm not taking care of myself.
Yeah. And
so like I say, to me, it starts at the top. Like you say, of cultivating that culture of letting everybody know that, you know what, if you reach out for help, we're going to get you the help you need. Mm-hmm. Like I say, what that is, just talking to somebody or maybe going away for treatment. Who knows how severe, but just to let them know that, you're there for them, you support them.
Yeah.
And there's not anybody kind of like negative repercussions for it.
Right. No, that's great. When you take the stage to do a public speaking engagement, when you're looking out into the crowd, do you see eyes get bigger, the light bulb, the mind start turning based on what you're talking about?
I do. And me and some of the guys that I travel with, we've talked about that before. We can be speaking, we can look out there and we can see people going. We can see them nodding. Mm-hmm. Or we can see, when I start talking about some of the ways I start acting, I've been to some where their spouses are with them, and I've seen their spouses even kind of look at them and nod, and all that.
Wow.
But the amazing thing is, and it's still a stick, they catch you at the elevator, or they catch you when they by yourself and go, they do this. Hey, I was just gonna let you know that, like they're looking around, like they're making sure, but because it's still out there, that stigma. So they catch you when you're alone or something, and they just kind of do that look around. They go, hey, I just want to let you know, man, you were talking directly to me. Everything you said, I felt and done. And, so it starts a conversation.
Sure.
And I make a funny about it, but, at least they had the courage to even come up and say something.
Yeah.
And reach out.
Yeah.
And sometimes it turns into, we get them sent in a direction to go see somebody or something, or it was just, that's what they needed, just to let somebody know that, that's how they're feeling.
Yeah. Right on. Shifting gears a little bit, what's your favorite sport? And whatever sport it might be, what's your favorite team in that sport?
OU and anything. And probably, I don't know, man, it's probably between basketball and baseball are my two favorites.
Okay.
And that's because I played football until I was a freshman, but basketball and baseball kind of what I stuck with. And my boys both played basketball growing up.
Okay.
And baseball. And it would be the Thunder, I guess, they weren't my favorite team because they weren't a team. Right. So when they were Seattle, they definitely weren't. But Celtics have always been my all-time favorite.
Okay, Boston Celtics.
Yeah. So a Thunder Celtics finals would be okay with me.
Okay.
And Red Sox, but don't ask where I get this East Coast stuff.
Okay.
But and the Red Sox in baseball. And it's an interesting dynamic because I'm Red Sox, my youngest son is Yankees, and my oldest son is Astros. So it makes for a nice little baseball season around the house when playoffs get close.
Well, at least there's not a Cubs fan, because I feel like there's so many Cubs fan in Oklahoma, and I don't know, is it because of WGN?
I don't know, and it probably they used to wear, that's all you used to get. People,
right.
That's all they knew. But and in football, I am part of Steeler Nation. And,
are you? Okay.
I'm a huge Baker fan, and I hate that Cleveland's in the same division. And but man, I love my Steelers, and I think that comes from growing up in Oklahoma. Everybody's a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
And so right. I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to be a Cowboy fan. So I was a Steelers fan. And I've been a Steelers fan since elementary school.
Yeah.
And it's done me well being a Steelers fan instead of a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So.
You like soccer?
I do watch it.
Do you?
But I usually only watch it when it's like the World Cup and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I've been flicking over a little more because there's people talking about it on the radio all the time, these. I'm not even going to try to say any of the team names because I don't know them. But, used to I didn't. Yeah. But I think even in soccer, the competitors are so much more athletic now that even sometimes a 0-0 game has got some pretty intense moments, because the guys and girls that are doing it are so freaking athletic anymore.
Yeah, true.
It's crazy. So, but if it's on TV and there's any other sport, I'm probably going to go football, basketball, or baseball first before soccer.
Fair enough. So you can explain this one to me because I would never understood it. In baseball, we celebrate pitching a shutout. And in soccer, when it's a 0-0 draw, people are like, dude, this is one of the most ridiculous sports for 90-plus minutes.
I walked right into that, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm trying to understand.
Well, because at least the other team's scoring some runs. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe the other team's not scoring. But I love a shutout when the Red Sox are pitching it.
Of course.
If the Red Sox are getting shut out, I can't stand it. It's the worst game in the world. But that is a good point. Everybody loves a shutout in baseball.
Yeah.
Or you love, I don't know. I guess it's when both teams aren't scoring. That's
okay.
So just one team not scoring, both teams aren't scoring.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's nothing to celebrate. Maybe that's what it is. There's no celebration.
I asked that question to my friend because he's a huge Cubs fan. He's like, man, because you go 9 innings and you're just pitching all these hundreds of pitches and I was like, yeah, what about soccer? These guys are running around for 90 minutes. He's like, that's it. I mean, it's the most boring sport, Wong. It's horrible. Quit watching it. I was like, okay.
That's what I'm going to go with because there's no celebration.
Yeah.
Now, I am a huge soccer fan on the Ted Lasso show.
All right.
Yeah, I do watch
I've heard about that show.
Oh, it's hilarious.
From what I understand of it, it does sound like the way English players are.
Mm-hmm.
Just from understanding, because I played the game, but watching a lot of English football, if you will, the real football.
Yeah.
But American football is good too. I love it. And I'm a big OU fan.
That's good.
You talk about OU basketball and baseball. The Bookouts are big names in those sports.
Casey Bookout, Kevin Bookout.
Yeah. Is it Casey the home run king for baseball
at OU?
Yeah.
He. I don't know if anybody's passed him or not. I know he was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe we should reach out to him and we'll find out.
There you go.
Bring him on the show.
There you go. You know him?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
But I guess his sister-in-law works with me, or I work with her.
Oh, okay.
Or I guess, I don't know, politically correct. We are colleagues.
Yes, you work together. Yes, you work together. So.
I can't say she works for me because people are like, oh, hey, hold on. What do you mean she works for you?
Chauvinist.
Yeah, exactly. It is unfiltered, so whatever, right?
But
what about favorite foods?
Mexican.
Yeah. Okay.
But probably more. My wife's Hispanic.
Okay.
And so people have traveled probably know. There's a difference in real authentic Mexican food and Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
Real. We don't make nobody mad. Real Mexican food is pretty bland.
Okay.
It's not. So I'm saying more of a Tex-Mex guy.
Okay.
Tex-Mex and barbecue.
Yeah.
Probably my two favorites.
Barbecue.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Barbecue, any type of meat.
Any type of meat, huh?
Yeah.
Where's a good spot in Oklahoma City that you like?
Golly. I like, I don't know. I'll say their name if they'll pay me. Rudy's is good. I like Rudy's got good barbecue. And then there's a place on the south side Oklahoma City called Dale's Barbecue.
Yeah. That's good.
119th and Western.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner from my house. It's
friendly people too.
Yeah. The good folks, and their barbecue's pretty good. Yeah. So it's either barbecue or Tex-Mex is what we do pretty much.
Okay.
So
before you answer this next question, you look like a kind of a Tom Petty Led Zeppelin. Or am I incorrect?
Not as much Tom.
Okay.
A lot more Led.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where I am totally, I don't know what the word is, because you take one of my favorite playlists and it may be Led Zeppelin, and then it may be Ted Nugent, and then it may be George Strait, and then it may be, it just doesn't Metallica, huge Metallica fan.
Yeah.
So AC/DC.
Yep.
But then again, I'm a huge, like I say, George Strait, I like Kid Rock. A lot of people don't like Kid Rock.
Yeah.
I love Kid Rock.
I like Kid Rock.
And I'm kind of more of a older country guy.
Yeah.
I'm not like there is some good pop country, but I'm not a big pop country guy. I'm a
Merle Haggard?
Oh, yeah, Merle Haggard. I got him on my playlist.
Yeah.
I got Waylon and Willie.
Yeah.
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 I got all of them on my playlist.
Yeah.
But like I say, it goes, like I say, from Metallica to, like I say, all the way down to Merle Haggard.
Okay.
So.
Fair enough. You should add Hillbilly Vegas to your.
I saw that somewhere on Twitter.
Yeah.
They just had I'll check them out.
Yeah.
They from here?
So the bass guitarist is from Oklahoma, and I think they're from Arkansas, somewhere around there. But,
and I like the local, like Hinder. I love Hinder. You know, they're from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And who the other one? Kings of Leon. Got a couple of. Yeah. Oklahoma. So all that kind of music, I'm good. I don't do classical. I don't do. But then I'm kind of a laid back guy. One of my stations, if I do listen to a station on Sirius XM, I listen to yacht rock, which is like 70s and 80s soft rock. Okay. It's called yacht rock. That's kind of my.
That's a station name, is yacht rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of my veg out. It's Christopher Cross and that kind of.
Okay.
Those kind of songs.
Okay.
But I'm usually either rocking it pretty hard or got some, like say, Merle Haggard and stuff on.
Okay.
So,
what do you feel like if you don't do in the next 5 years, you're going to regret not doing?
Wow. Sounds really simple, but in the next 5 years, I'd say as long as I don't do it as long as I'm breathing, I won't regret not doing anything. I always have a chance, I think. But I want to travel just a little more. I mean, I'm trying to talk my wife into selling the house, buying a motorhome, and seeing the country. She won't ever do it, which she may tell me beat it and go do it. Then if that's what you want to do, I don't know. But I would just say just a few exotic places. I look at and I know it's pretty simple to get there, like Turks and Caicos. You look at the pictures from there, and I go, I want to go there.
Yeah.
But then we always end up going to Florida or going to Cancun or going to. So I think, I say, okay, I'm going to put it on my radar. Yeah. And I think next year is our 35th wedding anniversary, so I might do Turks and Caicos.
That'd be cool.
I hope she doesn't hear this. That way, in case I don't do it.
I'm going to clip this out. Yeah. I'm going to have my wife clip it out, and we're going to blast on social media so she does hear it.
Yeah. But, and one of them that something I really want to do within the next couple of years, which I have no control over at all, is be a grandpa. So that's
nice.
That's of course totally out of my capabilities.
Right.
But that would probably be the end all of end alls for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you into cryptocurrency?
I try to. I can't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people that are. Yeah. And I guess it's actually earned a little bit in the last couple of months or month or so, hasn't it?
Yeah.
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 So I don't know enough about it to even. I know some of the names I see when they scroll across TV. Yeah. But I don't know enough about it. Should I?
Well, I'm not an advisor. I mean, it's always good to get out of the comfort zone and decentralized currency and
diversify a little bit. Yeah. Get it out there.
Yeah. Just see what happens.
Well, I might have to look into that.
Yeah. Well, let us know.
Oh, let us know. Okay.
We've been dabbling a lot into the cryptocurrency world, and it's actually quite fascinating. A lot of numbers. And
so is that like where we get to a certain time where there's no more money? It's just all it's all cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll ever get to that point because of regulations. Right. However, like if you use Cash App or not PayPal, but Cash App, Venmo, you can pay in crypto now. So it's interesting.
I do use Cash App and Venmo.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
I mean, I can't pay you in Bitcoin because that's too much. You probably charge me too much, so I don't have enough Bitcoin.
See, I wouldn't even know what you're talking about. Bitcoin. Crypto, that don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah, some of these athletes are now part of their contracts in crypto.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
I think I want to see cash.
Yeah,
until maybe crypto became more of a mainstream thing, I guess.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm with you. If I ask my friend, if I give you $100 now, or if I give it to you in 2 days, which would you have? Oh, I'll take it in 2 days. It's like, wow, why wouldn't you take it now? It's worth more now than it's going to be in 2 days. So if I'm not around,
they don't
get the
take the money whenever you get a chance.
Yeah. How does Chris Fields want to be remembered?
It's just it's pretty simple, man. Just a good dude. I mean, it's I'm not worried about my fire department legacy, and I always say it because I think my boys have kind of relayed it best when they say, it's all cool when you're when you're a kid and you're growing up and your dad's a fireman or a policeman. Oh man, it's cool. My dad's a fireman. Oh, your dad's a fireman. That's cool. But I think for as much as my boys were impressed, or whatever the word is, for me being a firefighter, I think they appreciated more the steps I took to get better and to keep our family together. Yeah. So, I mean, and it wasn't just me, it was my wife, it was all of us. But so I think that's how I like to be remembered, I did what I had to do, to save myself and save my family. Yeah. That's awesome. How do our listeners get in touch with you? Twitter handle, Instagram handle? Yep. Twitter, which is FF4OU, which is Fields Family 4OU, because we're all OU fans. They wouldn't be in my family if they weren't. No. And then Instagram, same thing, Chris Fields or FF4OU. Mm-hmm. And then I've got to update it, but I got actually 2 websites that I can be contacted on. One is www.chrisfields.org, which, like I said, I got to update it. And then the other one is www.traumabehindthebadge.com. Awesome. And that's the one where I work with 3 other guys, ex-first responders. One of them was the sniper or SWAT sniper guy that actually took down the Pulse nightclub shooter in Orlando. Wow. Yeah. And then 2 other ones are actually pulled the trigger suicide survivors. So cops, all of them ex-cops. I'm the only firefighter in the group. So, man. But that's the group that I travel around with, and we speak when we can. And but on any of those websites is all my contact stuff. Okay. And so that's awesome. That's it. And you're on LinkedIn, Chris Fields. Oh yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah, I forgot about LinkedIn. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. There's a lot of people on there, LinkedIn. And I see some pretty good job offers on there. I'm not looking for a job, but I see some good job offers on there. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I don't need one. Man, number one, for you to come on our show and tell your story, it's so powerful, and it's such an honor for us that you gave us a time of day to share it with us. Well, we appreciate you for that. I appreciate you reaching out. I always like these opportunities. I do. Yeah. People said, "You ever get tired?" I said, "Sometimes I get tired of hearing myself talk." Yeah. But I love telling my story and letting everybody know that tough times are coming and they'll go away, and you can get through it. And kudos to you for your podcast, man, and all your undefeated and defining moment stuff that you do. And thanks. I think, what's the other one you got? Seen a shirt? No one left behind. No. Yeah, we just made sure it says no one left behind. Okay, yeah, I just saw that, and and what an important time, especially with what's going on today. I think we had 10 service members killed today. That's what we heard in Afghanistan. So hearts and prayers out to all the military people doing it like it needs to be done. Yeah, for sure. And that's why my wife, she took off. She took some PTO yesterday to come home and design that shirt, especially to raise money to donate. So. Yeah, it's important. And that's what we do. Matter of fact, the 3 guys that I travel with, they're all law enforcement, but they're all ex-military too. Wow. So we reach out to veterans and anybody in active military and all that too. So that's powerful. Like I say, with what's going on, right now over there, it's just important to remember what they're doing. They definitely don't do it for the money. No, that's right. Yeah, they do it for a cause. So. Yeah. And thank you for all your services you've done for your community and worldwide, actually, because your message gets out there. So we appreciate that. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Yeah. And we'll see you at Dale's Barbecue sometime. How about that? Come on. Let me know when you're going to be there. All right. Well, appreciate you, man. All right, buddy. Thank you. You bet. Appreciate you, man. You bet, man. Great. Good stuff. Man. I thought.